Does the DSM call alcoholism a mental illness? Is alcoholism primarily a mental illness?
Gosh, that's the $64,000 question. Not primarily a mental illness, but classified in that book as a mental illness because the fact that it's even in there, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Illness. So yeah, it's classified that way.
What I'm getting at is, when my father was admitted to Milledgeville, to the insane asylum, the state mental hospital, they put this whole laundry list, homicidal, suicidal, everything but the kitchen sink. It's almost like they were trying to cover their bases, some of which is probably mutually exclusive nowadays. It's almost like they put down everything saying it's in there somewhere. But the one thing they put in there was alcoholism. What I'm getting is, it's not an accident that my father was in a mental hospital. I mean, if he's an alcoholic, it's not an accident that he's in a mental hospital.
Right, because an active alcoholic or drug addict is mentally impaired. And we call professionals impaired professionals. So because they're mentally impaired.
But then all of a sudden that becomes some sort of subset of illness in which we treat them like they're bad and wrong. You know, I mean, there's still a lot of shame around that. I mean,
for people who don't believe it's an illness, I know.
What can recovering alcoholics do anything about that stigma?
Well, what makes it really hard is the anonymity, because the average person in society who doesn't know anything about alcoholism or drug addiction does not know they're interfacing with recovering people weekly, if not daily. Okay, they're talking to them in the drugstore line. They're being treated by them at the hospital. They're being waited on them in restaurants, so they don't know even who these recovering people are. So that's like one of the downsides to the anonymous part of Alcoholics Anonymous, which, there've been a couple of drives for people there was 2 different drives of people who've tried to do something about that. But yeah, what we see, right, in the newspapers and in the media is the insanity. We see people in active addiction, but we don't see that much recovery. And these people are everywhere. Recovering people are everywhere.
Because it's a very common.
It's very common.
malady.
Recovery is now finally common.
Right.
Recovery is finally common. Addiction has always been common.
Right.
Hidden, but common.
Right. When I approached my mother and wrote the letter and got back in touch with her, I found myself along the way realizing that I was trying to fix the fixer. That I wanted her, to know that she was forgiven, basically. I wanted her to internalize that.
But she was forgiven for what?
For giving me up. And she could not hear that. The first thing she said was, "Oh, honey, you can't do that. Only God can do that." But then I realized that no matter how often she went to church, she still didn't internalize that. She still didn't sort of accept that. So I'm sitting here trying to fix the fixer. And I guess I just need to come to peace.
You did forgive her, right? You told her, so you gave her. I mean, your forgiveness, I think, is important. She just won't accept it because of the shame she still has.
Right.
That's not about you, it's about her. She can't take it. It's shame.
Is there nothing I can do?
Nope. You did it.
So if I keep talking, keep talking.
Yeah, that's her journey here to whether or not she can accept that. Based on what was going on in her life at the time, she actually did what was best for you.
I'll say. It was like I hit
Did you
the
tell her
lottery.
that? Did you tell her that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I told her everything turned out great. But there's a flip side to that, too.
What?
And that is, if I'd have stayed with her, you know, my life wouldn't have been as good. I would have grown up without a dad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would have died right before I entered puberty. I would have been 11 years old. And my brother, I think, still has problems. The first time I ever met him, he said, "It sucks growing up without a dad." And I think that impacts whatever kind of template or model he had for being a dad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it puts him at a disadvantage.
A big one. Because we mostly get up and just replay what we learned in our own childhood. You know, and that's all we really know. There is no education in parenting. You repeat what your parents did.
In one form or another.
You do.
You may rebel against it,
You might.
but at least you had a model there.
You did.
I mean, so even if you say, "I'll never hit my kid," at least, you know, you're pushing back against whatever it was that you experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you got a blank slate there, then you don't know. You're
Right.
kind of winging it.